all of you. I think spreading risk is a very interesting topic because I've spent 10 years in broking and then now 16 years in fund management. And in the 10 years in broking, I've seen a lot of people take extraordinary risk and make a lot of money only to lose it all. And I believe that, it is very important to spread risk because it is this whole process of taking extreme risk, making a lot of money and then losing it all, which is the problem. And I would request Sonam to share the presentation. And I would say that, spreading risk is the only way in which wealth can get created because finally, at the end of the day, if you don't make money in the long run and you make money only in bull markets, it doesn't really help. And next slide. Uh, the reality is that if you, the lesson that we have seen is that, you have to diversify to build steady wealth. If you, we took a lesson out of something which came out of a completely different area, which is Peruvian farmers. And there, what they do is they don't own large pieces of contiguous land. They own disconnected small pieces of land. And they spread their risk in this manner because you have very unpredictable weather patterns. And that actually has ensured that they actually get much better incomes because you have actually diversified your risk because of the fact that you don't have large pieces of contiguous land. Next slide. And in our opinion, what happens in this whole process is that what people don't recognize is there is no single asset class which gives you return on a consistent basis. In 2013, between 2003 and 13, real estate was the best asset class. For 10 successive years, real estate gave superb returns to investors that people said, why do I need any other asset class? But from 2013 to 2020, real estate has given no returns. Whereas, as you can see, other asset classes gave very good returns. Today, as we speak, people believe that gold is the best asset class. But if you look at the period between 2013 and 2015, gold gave negative returns. So it's very important that you invest in all the asset classes. And once you invest in all the asset classes, you'll get a much better investment experience. And the best way to do it is by investing in the asset classes which has actually done badly and taking out money from the asset class which has done well, which is in 2013 taking out money from real estate, and in 2015 investing in gold because it had 3 consecutive years of bad time, whereas gold has had a phenomenal run after 2015. So being more cautious in gold today than you were in 2015, and that is what I've learned. Next slide. So what we see is that timing the market appears to be very, very easy, but somehow you have greed. Today you'll see newspaper articles which says that gold is a great asset class because it has done extremely well. But there is actually greed in gold. Whereas if you look at it, if in 2023 real estate has not delivered good returns, you have a situation where actually real estate would have actually delivered very good returns for 10 successive years. Real estate would have delivered no returns. So there's maximum fear in real estate. Whereas on the other hand, gold has delivered such phenomenal returns over the last 5 years that you have actually greed in gold at this point of time. And 2022-23, you will have real fear in real estate. So I believe that greed and fear is the behavior which actually impacts the process of investment decision making. Go to the next slide. So what we do, and this is our learning after seeing 2007, 8, 9, which was possibly the toughest time in investing, is that the best way to do it in financial markets is by practicing asset allocation. And by practicing asset allocation, frankly, we have a situation where we manage the cyclicality of asset classes beautifully. and we manage the investor behavior beautifully. And we think that once you practice asset allocation, you manage risk very, very well. But you have to remember what asset allocation is. It is taking money out of the asset class, which is done very well, and investing in the asset class, which is done badly. And this is what asset allocation is. It actually manages investor behavior very well, and it gives a very good investor experience because it reduces the risk on a continuing basis for all investors. And we have seen that this kind of an approach, frankly, delivers a very good investment experience. And we saw it in 2007, 8, 9. In 2007, when I was an equity fund manager, people just poured in money in a very big way. In 2008, we had a global financial crisis. Just after the crisis, when the markets had fallen 50%, people just refused to invest. And after 2009, when the markets again went up, people again managed to invest. So, what we have seen is that it is very paramount that somehow you have to get people to invest in an asset class after it has done badly. And people have to take out money in an asset class which has done very well. And that is what asset allocation is all about. And that is the way you spread risk. How do you spread risk is by taking out money from the asset class which has done very well and investing in the asset class which has done very badly. It looks very easy in paper, but if you look at it in actually, it turns out to be very difficult because today it would mean that gold is at all-time high. You have to be more careful today in gold than you were in 2018 and 2015. Is it easy? It's not easy because every day you have newspapers, media channels, everyone talking about how gold is great. And that is a challenge at this point of time. Go to the next slide. So what we feel is that diversification among asset classes is the best way to address the risk from the inherent volatility of financial markets. After 2008, it is the central banks in the Western world who've taken over the role of managing all the financial markets. They have ensured that equity markets don't go down significantly. Even if they do a lot of things to ensure that the markets come up. So it is actually the volatility of financial markets have been curbed by the developed world central banks. And that is why it is very important to diversify among asset classes. And it is very, very critical that these asset classes are diversified when asset classes do badly. The different asset classes perform differently in various market cycles. And that is the other beauty. So if you look at real estate, it performed between 2003 and 13. Gold performed between 2008 and 2015, at 2012. And equities performed between 2013 and 17 in a very big way. It performed between 2002 and 2007 in a very big way. And so what happens is when you practice asset allocation, the advantage is different asset classes do well at different points of time. In my experience, what I've seen is it is very rare that all asset classes perform very, very well. If all asset classes perform very, very well, then it's wise to keep money in cash. That is also an asset class. So if every asset class does too well, actually, I would say that you should keep money in cash because sometimes cash can also be a great asset class because it allows you to invest when the markets come down. And this is what we have learned from looking at different asset classes all the time. So people used to say, what is the use of gold? But gold has a role to play when other asset classes fall. Cash has a role to play when all asset classes are doing very well. And that is the main thing. So, but what really determines investors' money-making process? It is the sentiment of greed and fear. And it is greed and fear which you have to conquer. People think it is knowledge which is the real problem. Actually, what we have seen from the way we have seen investing, it is not the investor's decision-making process is clearly determined by greed and fear and not by knowledge. Everyone knew in March this year that the market was very, very low. So what prevented people from buying in the month of March? It was greed and fear. There was so much of fear when the market was at 8,000. Was there extreme fear after Lehman in 2008? Answer is yes. Was there fear in 2013? The answer is yes. Was there fear in March 2020? The answer is yes. So I believe that everyone thinks knowledge is very, very important. Frankly, knowledge is not as important as the emotion of greed and fear. And the emotion of greed and fear is what determines whether you can make money. Everyone knew in 2013 that real estate had gone up for 10 years. It is not rocket science to know that real estate had gone up for a lot. In 2023, if real estate doesn't go up for the next 2 3 years, everyone knows that for 10 years real estate has not gone anywhere. So I believe it is very important to use simple common sense and greed and fear in investing. But what happens is simple common sense is forgotten because greed and fear overtake simple common sense. And that is why, you have successes like Warren Buffett, who basically makes use of simple common sense to invest when maximum fear is there in the markets. And that is why he makes a lot of money. Hence, adopting and following a prudent asset allocation strategy based on investors' goals, investment horizon, and risk tolerance is key to successful long term wealth creation. You might think this looks very, very easy. It is very, very easy. But conquering greed and fear is the biggest challenge that investors have to face. And if they manage to succeed in that, they have won it. And that has been our experience over this entire period of watching that I have done over the 30 years of watching financial markets. If you can go to the next slide. So, what did we do in our mutual fund? What we did was that we realized that conquering debt and fear is greed and fear is very, very difficult. So what we did was we created categories which focus us on managing greed and fear on behalf of investors. So we created categories, what we call as dynamic asset allocation schemes. We can put the entire hybrid category in the entire mutual fund as dynamic asset allocation also, or you can call it both a normal asset allocation. And I believe that dynamic asset allocation as a category was created primarily to handle the problem of greed and fear among investors. So what does dynamic asset allocation as a category do? It does is that as the market goes up, you keep selling, and as the market goes down, it keeps buying. And that's the simple logic of managing greed and fear, which works very well. Similarly, in debt, we have created a category called dynamic duration, which again increases duration when the interest rates go up and reduces duration when interest rates go down. And we have done the same thing for investing across geographies and asset classes through fund of funds. Once you do that, you can make money over the long term and pursue your long-term goals. And that's all I have to say. And this is the way to spread risk, enjoy life in the long run. As long as you save and do this, and spread your risk, you can make money in the long run. Over decades, you can make money. Thank you all.
I thank you, Naren. That was a very persuasive presentation. You made your point very clearly. Now, I wanted to ask you one question. As a professional, as an investment professional who's been there for 30 years, how have you fear this constant battle? I'm sure you're also this thing. Sometimes you would be looking at stocks which have done very well for you, and you would be kind of, one part of you would be saying that, look, let's keep it, and it's going up and up. And so, how do you control your emotions of greed and fear?
Actually, I tell people if you can be a bit more detached and you can take decisions in a more detached way. And my guru, Howard Marks, says if you can be emotionless in your decision making, it helps you a lot. And if you're too attached to the whole pursuit of money making, then what happens is this whole process becomes much more difficult. And over a period of time, we become investment professionals because we were cautious in 2007, aggressive in 2008. For example, be careful in 2017. And I believe that if you can create what my one of my gurus, Atul Gawande, says, if you can write a checklist that every time you do any investing, if you can write 5 lines why you made that investment, every time you disinvest, if you can write 5 lines why you are doing a disinvestment, and if you have a logic for your disinvestment and your logic for your investment, that improves the quality of decision making. Today we see a lot of people doing do it yourself investing in this work from home mode, or I call trade from home mode. I think it's very important that people bring a process to their investment decision making. I believe that planning your emotions in investing is one of the most difficult, because, like I always tell people, if you can manage your emotions in investment, and you will go through setbacks, there will be periods of time when people say, "What are you? How come you have not done this? How come you have not done that?" And in 2007 or in 2013, people will ask you difficult questions. And during those periods, you have to stay true to your process, and it is staying true to your process over a cycle which helps you to win in investing. And that's what I've seen. And I believe that staying true to your process over a cycle is one of the biggest ways in which you can make money in investing.
Great. Thank you so much, Naren, for sharing your brilliant insights. Complex subject explained in a very simple manner. Thank you so much, Naren.